Hello everyone, and this is my review for Monday Night Raw on February 16, 2015. And this being the go-home show before the Fastlane pay-per-view, it actually, in the past, I would say most go-home shows have been very, very lackluster. I felt they did a really good job finishing off storylines, and maybe not necessarily if they had done good storylines in the past. They had used most of their stuff up before the go home show, and the go home show was just kind of this ho hum home drum thing, nothing very special. This time around, it felt like they were finishing up the storylines going into it, and they were actually saving maybe some of their better ideas for the go home show versus, let's say the week before or something like that, to where they don't really have much they can do going into the actual final Raw and final SmackDown going into the pay-per-views. I like the opening segment with Cena and going after Rusev. The main reason why I liked that opening segment was the promo that Cena put off in this one. Not only putting up the importance of defeating Rusev, but the importance of him winning the United States title, and made the title seem important again. And that was the most important thing about that, was the whole aspect of them making the United States title look important in this case. It's not just kind of there. It was something he wants to win. It's not only does he want to beat Rusev, he wants to win the United States title. I like that. And then the subsequent brawl afterwards was a lot of fun to watch as well. I liked how, I really did like they showed a completely different side to Cena again. It wasn't the whole joking around, blah, 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 all that stuff. You got the serious Cena again. I've always preferred that one over the joking around Cena. So that segment in general was a winner in my book. I felt it came off great. The Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, altercations. I'll get into those a little bit. A little bit later on. But other segments that I somewhat liked, but only if they finish it. Only if they actually finish this with something in the end. I kind of liked the Dean Ambrose going after Wade Barrett, and I liked the promo that he cut beforehand that made it kind of feel like he was doing some kind of semi SNL or like a little bit of a news skit in the backstage. It was thoroughly enjoyable in my own personal opinion, it came off really. It did come off really well, and I liked where you had Wade Barrett trying to, incorporate the Miz into protecting him from Wade Barrett in some way, or Miz saying, "Oh, I'll help you if you help me." In this case, in the backstage segments, which led to eventually Wade Barrett getting tied up on the ropes and being forced to sign the contract for an Intercontinental title match. I'll like this only if on SmackDown they do something that where Wade Barrett tries to get out of this, because obviously in logistical standpoints, under duress, all that kind of stuff with contract signings. That's kind of where I'm wanting. I want them to go with more logistical side of it, where Wade Barrett is trying to get out of this completely on SmackDown before they obviously probably have the match at Fastlane in some way, shape, or form. So that's the only way I'm going to end out liking that portion of the show. So I kind of like it now. I'll really end up liking it if they decide to go that route on SmackDown before going into a potential pay-per-view match. The Paige, Nikki Bella portion of the show, again, I felt like this was a lot better off this week. Both of them kind of shined on the promos on this week's show going into the actual pay-per-view. I actually enjoyed this portion of the storyline. It kind of helped it out. It kind of got your feeling of a little bit of the tension between them. So it wasn't as bad as it had been over the past few weeks with how they've been building this. And I don't necessarily look forward to the match, but it was at least better. It was a step forward this week versus where it had been over the past couple weeks. You had continuations with the Usos and Cesaro and Tyson Kidd. A lot of and basically them still playing the tension between Natalya and Tyson Kidd on the on-screen area about about everything basically. Again, not too overly bad. It'll make you wonder where they're going to go with it in the near future, or how they're going to actually play that off. Because technically, Natalya is still considered a face, while Tyson Kidd is, of course, a very heavy heel. Are they going to turn Natalya face? Are they going to turn Natalya heel, or will they go their separate ways type area? So we'll see where they go with that. Obviously, they'll have the tag team match with the Usos on the pay-per-view as well for the tag titles. That should be a fun and entertaining match to watch in itself. But otherwise, storyline building, they pretty much they still focused it around a lot of the that double date segment they had a while back, and that's pretty much all they've really gone with that storyline. It hasn't really furthered much more of it, much more between the Cesaro, Tyson Kidd, and the Usos. It's kind of been still building between like Tyson Kidd and Natalya or something in the other sense. It's not fully fleshed together yet. Though a storyline that is coming together and becoming fully fleshed together are the two tag team breakups. And we have a tag team coming back together again. So that's at least a good thing. In that sense, but the two tag team breakups, obviously you still have the continuation with Miz and Mizdow going with Mizdow's match with Wade Barrett. It's just the way he's getting treated by, the storyline is basically him getting mistreated by the Miz being his personal assistant and everything like that, which will eventually lead to the breakup of the two of them. So we'll see how much longer they'll be playing off of that, and what other things will they come up with. Like this week they had it where, oh, he had a scuff on his shoe, or he had something in his sunglasses, some semi stupid things like that, but at least it's going somewhere now in this case. The other breakup is finally fully going on. Let's see if it's just leading into a match with Fastlane, or hopefully it's a match between the two Dust brothers at WrestleMania this year. They obviously went with the full breakup now, where Gold and Stardust, after having a great talk with, or having a talk with Dusty Rhodes in the back, it seemed like they were going to be together. They played that route on the storyline, where it seemed like they were going to be back together. Now after they lost, Stardust like, yeah, screw this, I'm out. Going the old route with storylines for tag team breakups isn't necessarily a bad thing. I kind of liked where they went with this. This is kind of like an old school type storyline breakup where, it seems like they're going to be together and then they're broken up. And like I said, in that case, going old school with some of those type of breakups and of the storylines isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think in this case it actually works out well, because I consider both of these guys to play better off with more of the old school style of wrestling storylines versus more new school style. It'll be interesting to see how their feud goes into the future here, and how long they'll actually go along with it. The tag team coming back together this week was the Primetime Players. Darren Young came back, and it seemed like they were going to have he was going to just have some random tag team partner to go up against the Ascension, which they set up on the pre-show earlier in the night, but that match never gets underway, and Darren Young ends up getting saved by Titus O'Neil, which basically brings back the Primetime Players in this case. Most people feel that the two of them should never have been broken up to begin with. I would somewhat agree. They were a pretty good tag team. They were fun and entertaining to watch. We'll see where they go, where they actually go along with this. And how long will they be feuding with the Ascension? Will the Primetime Players get put over in any way? Or will this just be another thing that they do to try to put over the Ascension even more here in the very near future? So we'll see where they go about that. Of course, you also had continuations with Dolph Ziggler, Eric Rowan, and Ryback against the Authority in every way, shape, or form. You had a really good match with Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins, which of course ends in DQ in this case. And basically having Ryback and Eric Rowan and Dolph Ziggler making saves where they've been wanting to, where they've been trying to cause a little bit of hell for the Authority in some way, shape, or form. it's not a bad thing. It'll be interesting to see how they play them off for the Fastlane pay-per-view. I feel like, the way they've been tying in the Authority with the Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns storyline makes you feel like you'll have and Ryback, as well as the Authority members, going interfering in some way in this main event match. Maybe one of those three will turn heel or something, cost one of the other guys the match. We'll see where they go along with this in some way, shape, or form, but it was a little bit more enjoyable this week than it was last week, so at least it came off a lot better in this week. This also brings me to the 3 promos throughout the night for Bray Wyatt. You could definitely tell he's going for... They're furthering on this Undertaker storyline, with obviously not showing the Undertaker in some way, shape, or form, or even saying his name. But you get the hints, you get the gist of everything, and I really did like these promos from Bray Wyatt. He came off really well, basically making the basic statement that he wants the Undertaker to find him, or he'll find him, or in that case. So we'll see how long they play along with this. If Undertaker's even actually going to be coming back into WrestleMania this year, or what they are actually going for with Bray Wyatt in this case, because it does feel like it's leading into something big. Most people are speculating it's Undertaker, so we'll see where they go along with this. I'm also speculating Undertaker in this case too, so we'll only see it here in the future, and so far it's actually been quite good. Another segment that was probably the best segment of the night for me, the Triple H Ric Flair segment, talking about Sting and everything. I'm trying to find the words that properly describe this, and really the only thing I can say is that this, much like Paul Heyman, this is how a wrestling promo feels like it should go. You have the mentor, Ric Flair, going in there with Triple H and trying to talk to him about Sting and how everything is gone. Triple H, of course, saying he's heard everything about him in the past. He's not underestimating him and everything. And it just gets down to the point with everything between the two of them, and even the shove from Triple H to Ric Flair, just you got the aspect of how much Triple H wants to get in there with Sting and get into the ring with Sting in some way, and it should really lead into a fun segment at the pay-per-view between the two of them with their face-to-face, and then hopefully a fun storyline with Sting being a little bit more involved going into WrestleMania this year. So overall, just a great promo between them, and a great way of setting up the Sting Triple H confrontation at the pay-per-view. This leads into everything with everything that happened throughout the night with Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. Obviously, they were thrown into singles competition where both of them kind of were out there to throw a little bit mind games into each other. Personally, I felt like those came off really well. Again, like most of the night, this is one of those few Raws where I didn't necessarily hate any of it. Really. I actually found most of it to be enjoyable. It came off really well. Of course, I also did like how, tensions, how they played the storyline off to where tensions boiled over between Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns, and they started brawling for the first time, leading into the pay-per-view. Like I said, it just came off really well, how they couldn't be really controlled by the referees and everything in that aspect. It played out really well this week. So, overall, like I said, I felt Raw, especially for a go-home show where most of them have been lackluster over the past, years. This one came off really, really well, and it was a fun and enjoyable Raw going into the Fastlane pay-per-view. So, we'll see where Fastlane. We'll see where the Fastlane pay-per-view goes. Of course, I'll be doing a review for that when it's done. That's my review this week for Monday Night Raw, and I thank you guys for watching.